Hey everyone, welcome back to TYP, Terminally Yet Purposeful. It's me, Megan, again. Today I just wanted to talk about positivity, a little bit about the power of positive thinking, and what can we do to stay positive? Because let's be honest, it's really, really hard sometimes. And I'm sure you've all heard it. When you're diagnosed with something major, you're going through something major, a lot of people will tell you, doctors, nurses, friends, family therapists, what have you, will tell you to just stay positive. And a lot of times you're going to roll your eyes and be like, all right, easier said than done, right? And myself included. When I was first diagnosed with bile duct cancer a year and a half ago, this is what everybody told me was stay positive, stay positive, stay positive. And I just kept thinking, how the heck am I going to stay positive when somebody just told me I was going to die? So fast forward a year and a half, and I can tell you that, positivity, I do believe in it now. I do believe in the power of positive thinking. I think staying positive really works and can be really helpful for somebody going through something really traumatic and really serious. But let's talk about ways that we can stay positive. Because it took me a long time to figure it out. And I don't have it figured out, not by any means. So I wanted to talk about it today and share my experience with positive thinking, and hopefully get some feedback from you guys. What you think about positivity and things that you do to try and stay positive and get yourself into a better headspace, and just what we can all learn moving forward. So when we talk about positive thinking, positivity in general, a lot of stuff, sorry, my dog's in the room. He might pop up here and there. You can see his tail in the corner of the shot. Anyway, back to the power of positive thinking. The Power of Positive Thinking is a book that was written some years ago by a man named Norman Vincent Peale. And I think that's where we get a lot of our just mainstream notions of positive thinking and how good it is for us and so on and so forth. And essentially, Power of Positive Thinking says that, and this has been backed up by research, that there's a lot of evidence to show that our thoughts don't just have psychological effects on us like you think they would, but they also have physical effects on us. So that's saying that thinking positive can change who we are, can change what we're doing, can change how we're acting. And positivity boosts health, improves productivity, increases mental health, of course. That's what we think, right? And like you've heard, I had a nurse in my infusion room when I was first diagnosed that said, she's like, this is the most important thing that you can do. Drink water, listen to us, and stay positive. It's really hard, but it's going to make all the difference. And she said, she's like, I've been doing this for 25 years, meaning she was like, infusion room nurse for 25 years. And she's like, I've seen who comes in here and who leaves, who gets better and can leave the infusion room. And she said, your mental attitude makes all the difference. So since she never steered me wrong, I kind of decided that I had to kind of take my sorry for myself attitude and see if I could work it out. And give the power of positive thinking a spin. A lot of people also referred me to this book that was really popular, I think about a decade ago. It was on Oprah, The Secret. And this isn't going to be a video about The Secret or about, how good positive thinking is in general. But from what I understand, it's essentially, your thoughts and your way of thinking can actually change things in your life. So the secret kind of is takes the power of positive thinking, kind of delves deeper into it, and backs it up a little bit more seriously. So, I mean, there is a lot of research, just in case you were wondering, in case that's interesting to you. There's a lot of research that kind of backs up positive thinking and why we should be doing it more. So, I mean, I myself, I went through kind of a rather long grieving period, and I would say that, we all go through stages of grief from time to time. I mean, it's not like, this step's over, let's move to the next step, But grief is kind of cyclical. It comes and goes. So, I mean, after I was first really hit hard with grief, after I was diagnosed, I remember clearly one of my first infusion appointments. My husband put on Kanye West's album Graduation for me while I was getting ready in the morning. And if anybody has heard Graduation, I highly recommend it, by the way. Not so much Kanye West, but that album is brilliant. But it starts off with this song called Good Morning. And it kind of set the tone for me. It got me into it. And then that song Stronger came on. Very, very good song. And it really just, I kind of credit almost single-handedly Kanye West's Graduation to getting me through a really, really, really tough first step, essentially, in my treatment. But I heard the song Stronger, and it replayed in my head all day. So my first chemo appointment was a 7.5-hour infusion, which is a really long time. And I just remember that song replaying in my head all day long. And thank God it was that song, because I felt terrible. But hearing that song in my head, replay, really put me in a good headspace to be like, okay, I can do this. I'm sitting here, the chemo is coming into my veins and is going to come and, surround my cancer and help kill it and help me win this. And from then on, that grew into what I call my hype music library. So, how do we stay positive? I do highly recommend music. Music wasn't something that was super important to me until I was diagnosed. And now I actually have 3 Spotify playlists called Hype Music 1, 2, and 3. And I kind of rotate them. And now I actually listen to them every morning. When I get ready in the morning, I put on hype music. And that puts me in the right headspace for the rest of the day. And even when I've had a really terrible day at work, or I've had a terrible day at the hospital, or I've gotten bad news, oftentimes I'll come home and be like, let's go into Spotify, play one of the hype musics on shuffle. And it really does help. So if you think that's helpful for you, I highly recommend it. It's just listening to music. I also have playlists for comfort, and helping me wind down. Cause I feel like a lot of times, especially if you've had a bad day, a lot of times we can replay on a loop stuff that's happening and be in our own headspace a little bit too much. And if I have like a comfort playlist or a playlist that just kind of calms my nerves, it can kind of get me out of that loop, and calm me down so I can, sleep, or I can relax and focus on something else. So give it a shot if you haven't already. Highly recommend it. Another thing that I did is just when I'm in a bad headspace, I go for a walk. Or if you can't go for a walk, getting out of your space, getting out of your house, getting out of the hospital, getting out of the room that you're in, and just taking a break. And I remember one of the very first pieces of information after Stay Positive was my pain doctor. that I saw, who was also a cancer survivor, he said, he's like, listen, I battled cancer a few years ago and I beat it. And he's like, I am going to tell you every day, take a walk. Even when you feel crappy, go out, take a walk. Breathe in the air outside. And he said, if you feel terrible and your walk is really slow, that's okay. Or if your walk is 10 feet from your door and you turn around, that's okay. He said, but go outside, let the sun hit your skin, take a deep breath, and do it every day. And he's like, and if you do that every day, you will get better. I didn't believe him, but I did incorporate taking a walk every day into my repertoire. And I do, even on days that I have chemo, or days after that I feel really, really bad. I still try and make an effort to get outside and take a walk. Even if it's really slow, even if it's just a half a block and I turn around, I do it. And I feel like if I don't, I'm just not in the right headspace for the rest of the day. And it kind of really sets a tone. So also another thing I recommend. And even just a change of scenery. If you can't take a walk, if you can't get outside, I mean, a change of scenery can just do all the good in the world sometimes, right? Another tip is if you're feeling the negativity spiral, talk to somebody in your support system and make sure that it's somebody that is receptive at that time. Because what we're going through is also, I mean, let's be honest, it's a burden to us and it's a big deal to those in our support system as well. And not everybody is ready to help you be your backbone at all times. And we have to be able to give those people a break. So if you can reach out to somebody in your support system, just make sure to be like, hey, can you talk right now? Or are you in the mood to help me work out some stuff? Just give them a little bit of a fair warning before you kind of like unload on them. But a lot of times if they are, they're ready and willing to help you out and do whatever they can to just, listen. And if that's all you need to do is have somebody to listen, I mean, go for it. Right. So use your support system. I mean, that's what they're there for. And they're going to offer to help you. You should take them up on it. And your support system doesn't have to be just a family member or a friend. It could also be a therapist. That's a good one. So I've said this a few times before, but I highly recommend therapy because you are going through something traumatic. And sometimes it's really good, especially with the really difficult stuff that you can't always share with family and friends. If you have a therapist there that you can unload on, they can often steer you in the right direction, get you out of your head a little bit, and give you some tips on how to cope. And that's really, really important to us, right? Let's see. Kind of on that same vein is just, another thing is just do something completely distracting sometimes. And oftentimes when I have a bad day or I'm really sad, I'll come home and, I have my go-to movies that kind of always make me feel better, or my go-to TV shows. One of them is Mean Girls. That's probably one of my favorite movies. And I've kind of incorporated it into like my regular routine at this point. So every couple of weeks, if I have a bad day, I put Mean Girls on, I grab a cup of hot tea, curl up with a blanket, and that's what we do for 2 hours. But it's the right distraction to get me out of the negativity loop, right? And kind of reset you, is just putting something in front of your face that you could just watch, not think about, get out of your head for a couple hours. And sometimes that's all we need to reset, right? So another thing that I recommend. This can also be something distracting. It doesn't have to be a movie. It doesn't have to be a TV show. But, you can call a friend and be like, hey, what's going on in your life? Or did you watch the episode of Queer Eye last night? Or the first episode, I should say. Second, third. What have you. Talk about something completely unrelated. A lot of times too, I've noticed with people in my support system that, especially early on, I would call them and they'd start talking. I'd be like, hey, what's going on with you? And they'd start talking and be like, oh, well, the kids are sick, or, oh, what am I telling you for? Like, you've got so much on your plate. It's like, no, like, I want to hear about your life. I want to get out of my own head and, be a good friend to you, do my part too. But like, I want to hear about what's going on with you, and let's talk about stuff that's completely unrelated to my illness. Just so we can have a break, I'm in here all day, every day. If I can be, in your life for just a couple minutes, that's a nice little vacation, right? It can be. It really can be. So, people in support systems, I just, want you to know that you have full permission, to talk about you, because, you're going through stuff too, and you're going through your own life. And just because you have a friend or family member that's dealing with something radical doesn't mean that you, are expected, and we don't expect that from you either, to stop your life completely, and just revolve around theirs. I mean, because we want to hear about what's going on with you. I want to know how the kids are and how they're doing in school, and what you had for dinner last night, and the beef you're having with, your brother or something like that. That's a really good distraction, and it makes me feel like I'm doing something worthwhile, right? Is just checking in on you. Even if it's something little, it's nice. So yeah, do distracting stuff like that. And you'll hear this from therapists a lot. And if you're kind of down on yourself and you're feeling negative, the best way to get out of that is to do something for someone else. A lot of times, I do recommend this because I was kind of going through, before cancer, I was kind of going through something rough in my life. And somebody recommended, they're like, you really like animals. Have you ever thought about volunteering for your local animal shelter? And I was like, that might not be a bad idea. Let's do it. And I did it up until COVID hit, and the shelter kind of stopped taking volunteers coming in and out, and was more foster focused. But it really does help. And I will say, if there's a day when you're in your head and you're depressed and you're feeling crappy about yourself, going and putting yourself wholeheartedly into something else, at the service of someone or something else, whether it be dogs, cats, people, like a good cause, what have you. That's pretty incredible. It does some pretty great things for you. And I know, especially right now with COVID, and especially if you're dealing with an illness and you're not feeling well, that's not always an option for some people, but there might be other ways that you can help. So like your favorite organization or nonprofit, if they're looking for people to, like stuff envelopes or something like that, or to help run their Instagram for an hour a week, or something like that. It just might be a good little distraction at the service of something else that can kind of help you and put you in a little bit of a better mindset, and kind of help us move forward with this positive thinking here. And you don't always, it's doing something for somebody else doesn't automatically have to mean volunteering. It could be taking the dog for a walk, playing with the dog in the backyard for a half an hour, taking the kids to the park, taking your nieces and nephews out for lunch, helping a friend out, cooking a meal for a friend that just had a baby or is having surgery or something like that. So doing a service for someone or something else can really be helpful for us, especially, when you're ill and you've been dealing with an illness for a really long time, or a condition for a really long time. Sometimes it can be good to just step outside yourself think about other people, just even if it's for an afternoon, and kind of get us back on the path of being grateful and appreciative of our life and what we have right now, right? So highly recommended by everybody, by therapists, by me. It's something, if you can do it, can really make a huge, huge difference. And the last part, just because terminally yet purposeful is kind of searching and exploring, how do we live the life that we have left in a purposeful, more wholehearted way. And a lot of that has to do with practicing gratitude and positive thinking and gratitude, and living a life wholehearted is something that I am working on. And something that I will continue to work on for the rest of my life. But practicing gratitude is really a daily practice for a lot of people. Because a lot of times it doesn't come natural to a lot of people. It really doesn't. And sometimes it does. You'll see sometimes with kids and stuff like that. Kids are easier at living a wholehearted, more grateful life than adults are. We kind of grow up and become a little bit bitter and sour towards the world, which is a little bit sad, right? But stuff like this happens. Stuff happens in your life that's not always good. And how can we use that to kind of bring ourselves back and, be thankful for some of the stuff that's around us and live in a more authentic way, right? And do stuff that makes us happy and, let go of some of the toxicity and negativity. Let's try practicing gratitude if you're up for it. So what I've been doing to kind of practice gratitude, especially on bad days and times when I just can't get positive, that I can't get out of my negativity loop. Say like I'll have a bad day at work, or I'll get some crappy news from the doctor, and I'll be like, this sucks. This really sucks right now. Let's be honest. Got bad news today, or had a really crap day at work. Really just, everything hit the fan today. But I am grateful that I'm healthy enough to be able to work and pay my bills and provide for my family and put food on my table and help other people out by what I do. And this does not come naturally to me at all. And this is something I'm struggling with all the time. And sometimes I'll hear that and I'll be like, this sounds so fake right now. But I find that the more I do it, the easier it gets. So every day or every time I run into a speed bump, try and find the gratitude in situations can help you change your mindset from one that's really negative to one that's really more positive and more grateful, right? So, acknowledging that something's not great, like this sucks, this is bad right now. I had a really bad day today. But you know what? I'm grateful that I woke up this morning. I'm grateful that I woke up this morning and didn't have pain. I'm grateful that I woke up and was able to spend time with my family or my friends. Or I'm grateful that I had a crappy day, but I'm grateful that I'm here. I'm still alive. I'm breathing. And hopefully this gives me some hope for the future, right? So it's a hard one, but this is what we're here to do, right? Let's try and practice gratitude together. So, like I said, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an oncologist. I'm nothing. I'm just here trying to create a little support community for those of us going through stuff. And I have a lot to learn about this. So if you have any tips and tricks for how to stay positive, especially on those bad days or when it's really difficult, because some days it's really, really difficult. It really is. You know, let me know. Shoot me an email, terminalyetpurposeful@gmail.com, or comment on any of our platforms, and let's start a discussion, right? So thanks again for watching my videos. I hope they were helpful. And go do something nice for yourself, right? And let's try and practice gratitude together more and more, all right? Have a great one. Bye-bye.